we've got Laolu Wakande, who is the Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity to the Vice President. Morning, Laolu, and thank you for joining us. Well, the comments credited to the VP, wherein many actually thought, wait a minute, are they misunderstanding him when it was quoted to have said, well, restructuring, that's according to some headlines now, when they read, restructuring Nigeria wouldn't make any much difference. Could you just break this down for us? What exactly was said?
Thank you, Chamberlain, for having me. We have to deal with the way some of these headlines are reaching. The Vice President has been very active in the debate, for a while, about how to make the Nigerian Federation, like the Americans would say, a more perfect union. And so he's been very active even as Attorney General in Lagos State, trying to define specific areas of restructuring, and what he believes ought to be done. Now, anytime you have a discussion on restructuring, you must bear in mind that there are quite a number of issues that are involved. It is not just a one-line theme. The argument and the discussion is very, very nuanced. We have issues of fiscal federalism, resource control, whether we should go back to regional system, state police, devolution of powers. Actually, even some people think we should disintegrate the country. So what the Vice President said to a question that was asked about whether states should get more of the resources from the center, and he said, well, on that note, even though he supports states having more control of their resources, but he said that, look, the kind of money that we have now, the fact that we have good resources, even if you have to take some of the federal government money and give it to the states, it will make any difference. That was what he said. But very clearly, the Vice President supports state police, the Vice President supports fiscal federalism, and he has been advocating it for quite a while.
Well, that's just on the one hand, when you talk about him supporting state police, but what is his thinking about restructuring the country in the face of the several calls and then the dwindling economic fortunes of the country?
Yes, thank you. So, like I said, when he was Attorney General, he actually went to court as Attorney General of Lagos State, trying to assert, by legal means, the right of states to have some control over fiscal issues. For instance, on VAT, and he still believes that states should be able to have some kind of, some greater control over their own resources. Now, we also have to balance that with the fact that we have to also consider what kind of federal government we want. Do we want a federal government that will be able to carry out the responsibilities that we require it to do? So there has to be a balance on that. Now, talking about regionalism, the Vice President does not believe that Nigeria should return to the days where everything is arranged on ethnic lines. He is looking forward to a day where we can de-emphasize the ethnic differences, and that we can begin to actually talk more about the things that unite us. So he doesn't support going back to regions, and clearly, and never has supported Nigeria disintegrating. He believes that we are better together as a country. We have more strength staying together. There are more things that unite us than divide us. So this in a broad sense, is the outlook of the Vice President on this matter.
I'm looking at the responsibilities of states, which is very key in this whole discussion. If you situate this to what the Minister of Power Works and Housing has said concerning the unfortunate activities of vandals, it would mean that we'll still have to quickly go back into restructuring and see how some of these states, if not all of them, can help protect properly key national assets.
Well, I mean, of course, I think that you're talking about state police. I didn't quite get the sort of your question, but yeah, I think it makes sense, and we have seen the best practices around the world where you have community policing. The people in the states, know more about the states than people outside of the states. So it does make sense, to carve a system where the people in the state can be in charge of the security. And don't forget that the Constitution itself actually says that governors are the chief security officers of their state. security policing, actually seems to be a better way to manage the security of whatever assets are in the states. Even right now, anytime federal government has any issue with the states, you want to talk to the governor, because the governor is the one that is on the ground. He is the political head in the states, and so it makes a lot of sense for us to think more and more and see how we can actually bring state policing to bear in our country.
How deep is the belief in coming straight and to the fore and making this come to reality of this government in restructuring and, of course, bringing the much-needed call for state police?
Well, to have the state police, we require a constitutional amendment. Of course, we have to talk about what kind of police powers are we going to retain in the center. What specific roles do you have for the states? It will require a constitutional amendment, and like I said, even if you look at the APC roadmap for the election, it was very clear that this is the position of the party regarding protection, security in the state. So it will require a constitutional amendment, and I'm sure that this government is fairly disposed to working on that.
All right, shed some more light on that, if you will, for us. So what exactly is the current situation now? Yes, that's the party's thinking. They said that much in their manifesto. So what are they waiting for? When is that going to be done?
Well, I'm sure that we certainly have enough time. As you know, we just the budget, dealing with appointments. So in the long run of this term, I believe that we still have the time to work on it with the National Assembly. But because it requires a constitutional amendment, and as you know, a constitutional amendment we have to go around the whole country. So we are at a level where we should be advocating for this, because this is not just something that the president can do by fiat, or even the National Assembly. It will have to go around the country to change the constitution. But I believe that talking about it is the way to start, and this is what we are advocating for.
So does that mean, are you saying that they will submit the bill to the National Assembly, who will then initiate that process of amendments where they then go around the state? Or is it that they're going to, first of all, bring up what exactly the issues are, identify those key issues, before you then forward the bill to the National Assembly?
Well, as you know, the National Assembly has actually recently started, a round of, looking at the Constitution again. They did have a retreat, I believe, a few weeks ago in Lagos, where they came together to talk about constitutional amendment. So I believe that the issue of state police, is going to feature at some point in that review, and the federal government will play its whole role in bringing it in making it to happen.
Well, if you then take maybe a little further the call for restructuring the country, what exactly is the thinking of the government? Do we take the views of the vice president as official views now, or his personal views?
Well, that's why I referred to the APC manifesto. Look, at any given time in any country, you are always trying to see how can you make your structure, whatever it is, better. Like I said earlier, anytime the American president gives State of the Union address, it talks about how to make the union perfect. That is even a democracy that has been there for hundreds of years. So, the business of re-engineering the structure of government is an ongoing business, and the issues are, whether you agree to this or you don't agree to that, and that is why we have to understand that the debate, or the discourse on restructuring is much more nuanced than at times headline writing try to make it. There are several issues involved. I can bet that anywhere that you gather a group of Nigerians, you will find those who will be on one side of the issue and those who will be on the other side. But I can also bet that you will find that there's a very significantly large number of Nigerians that believe that Nigeria should stay together. There are those who believe that Nigeria should go back to regions. There are those who disagree, like we disagree on that. So there are a number of issues involved. And we think having a public discussion like this is a very good thing, except that we have to also understand that the matter runs deeper than just what you can just take one isolated view and use it to bring a broad view. There are several issues involved. And so we should be able to pinpoint that on this aspect of restructuring, this is our view, this is your view, and we can have a very healthy debate.
It still hasn't answered the question, Laulu. Is the Vice President's comment on these matters of restructuring and state police the thinking of the party and government?
Well, I did already, my brother. I said that it is actually in the party roadmap. The APC roadmap is very clear on it. And so that means also it will become the agenda of the government. You know, I think I already answered that question. If you go and look at the APC roadmap that was released sometime in 2014, it is very clear that the position of the party is to have state police. And now that the party is in government, the number thing is that at the right point, you know, it will be the position of government also.
Well, we've looked at that roadmap several times, and we're still looking at it, and we will keep looking at that roadmap to keep bringing up some of those matters. But about the other aspect of restructuring, I mean, we've had several governors. They're speaking about economics now. I think the recent ones were Oyo, Kwara, where they keep complaining that the current structure just doesn't serve the purpose, wherein local governments can't pay salaries. They don't even have enough funds, let alone local governments, and so something really needs to change. But is it your view, I mean, do you actually say that the Vice President's thinking on having the states get more resources is not out of place?
Well, you know, if you follow what the National Economic Council has been talking about in the last several months, you know, we've been happy more, and this is the body, the federal body that includes the federal government and the state governors. That's the National Economic Council that meets once every month. We've been talking about the issue of diversifying the economy. We're talking about the issues of having multiple centers of prosperity. We are talking about the states. It is the view, you know, that has been expressed in these forums that states can become even more creative in raising internally generated revenue, in trying to find what is their areas of comparative advantage. Look at what is happening in Kebbi, for instance. Kebbi has taken a very huge lead in the area of agriculture, producing rice.
Yeah, I get that point, Laulu, but is it that at the moment the government is not currently thinking about allocating more resources to the states and relinquishing more from the center?
I think the discussion is going on, you know, and I cannot say how it's going to hang. But yes, you know, I know that there are talks on what should be done, what can be done. But, you know, I think the more important issue, looking at the business functions of all states, is to actually, you know, begin to look beyond all, you know, and look at the things that the members of the government themselves have hopefully, you know, agreed to.
All right, then. Thank you for talking to us today. Laulu Akonde is the Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity to the Vice President.